moving on. We have some other things going on.
Russia.
Fight for Ukraine. New world order.
Yeah, big one today, Guns. Big one. This happened yesterday, right? But I know this is part of when people say, like, we want more CCNT, do one every day. And that sounds, just simply impossible. I mean, there is a level of producership that would make that possible, but we're certainly not there yet. But this is one of the reasons why we would even consider doing a show a day, because the importance of these stories unfolding on non-show days. This is coming from Sky News, news.sky.com. And the headline is Russian missile kills 2 people in NATO member Poland. U.S. intelligence official says.
Whoa. So, okay.
Yeah, that's a big deal because, right off the bat, reading that headline, that Russian missiles, offensives in actual NATO territory could require a response leading to World War III.
Article 5, World War III.
Yeah. So this came out today. Let's see what they got to say. A Russian missile has killed 2 people in NATO member Poland. A senior U.S. intelligence official has told the AP news agency. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, don't know how to pronounce that, sorry, called an urgent meeting to discuss national security. The Polish Foreign Ministry later said that a Russian-produced rocket fell on the village of Przewadało at 3:40 p.m. What's that?
Przewadało.
Is that the official pronunciation?
I don't know. I'm just taking a stab. I like the way it looks.
Okay, let's take turns here. Przewadało at 3:40 p.m. local time near the border with Ukraine. Notice how the foreign Polish ministry said that a Russian-produced rocket. Mm-hmm. And as we know, with lots of military equipment, a lot of things are produced in Russia. It doesn't quite mean it came from Russia, but let's keep going. The ministry added that it has summoned the Russian ambassador. We summon you. Moscow has denied any involvement. Mr. Morawiecki said he was calling on all Poles to remain calm and airspace monitoring was being stepped up. Poland is raising the readiness of its military units, government spokesman Piotr Mueller said. He also confirmed there had been an explosion that killed 2 Polish citizens. An explosion. Polish President Andrzej Duda later said it was, quote, very likely, end quote, that his country would trigger NATO's Article 4 during a meeting of the alliance's 30 member states on Wednesday.
We want Article 5. Today. We want war. Well, what's Article 4 nonsense? Enough chit-chat.
Well, Article 4... Under Article 4, the article says here, under Article 4, members can raise a security issue and ask for it to be discussed.
Let's talk about it. Let's just have a chat.
No, well, so Article 4 is how you get to Article 5. Uh-huh. You discuss things in Article 4 and you decide whether to activate Article 5, which is all NATO countries going to defend, NATO territory. That Article 5 is World War III. Article 4 is when you talk about World War III. Mr. Duda added there was no definitive evidence of who had fired the rocket, describing it as a one-off incident with no indication it would be repeated.
It was aliens.
He said it was most probably Russian-made, but that is still being verified.
I like how even within this article, it starts to sort of lose the plot.
That's the fun deconstruction of this article. Is it starts out with
strong.
Russia has attacked NATO
Russian
and World War
missiles.
III is on the horizon. And then the longer you read, it's, but the president said, the president himself said there's no definitive evidence that it was actually Russian launched. Yeah. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said a strike on NATO territory was a significant escalation and action was needed.
Yeah, okay.
A man of action, this Zelensky, huh?
All right.
He's always ready to pull the trigger. He's got a hairpin trigger on World War III. Mr. Duda has spoken to U.S. President Joe Biden, Mr. Zelensky, and U.K. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Mr. Sunak, he's getting in the action now.
Sunak was one of the Stanford people because there's been a lot of Stanford folks in the news recently. He's one of them.
Right.
Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, Stanford's taken over the world. Finance bro, who's now in charge of figuring out if we go to World War III or not. Mr. Sunak said he had, quote, reiterated the UK solidarity with Poland. British Foreign Secretary James Cleverly said he was in contact with Polish counterparts and NATO allies. The president of the European Council, Charles Michel, said he was proposing that EU leaders attending the G20 summit in Bali hold a coordination meeting on Wednesday. So, all the world leaders, they're all in
they're
Bali
all there
right
anyway.
Now.
Bust out some Article 4 chat.
The EU, the European Council, president of the European Council is saying, hey, why don't you get a nice little side meeting going on over there? Quote, we stand with Poland, Mr. Mitchell said. U.S. Pentagon spokesman Brigadier General Patrick Ryder said America would, quote, defend every inch of NATO territory, but added that he had, quote, no information to corroborate press reports of the alleged Russian attack.
The Pentagon spokesman has no info? Okay.
Yes. Last I heard, there were investigators, U.S. investigators, heading over early this morning to go check it out.
Okay.
But we have some other outlets to check into. Was there anything in particular in the rest of the Sky article?
No. It really is that the headline itself is Russian missile kills 2 people in NATO member Poland. And then comparing it to CNBC's report, NATO chief says Poland blast likely caused by Ukrainian missile, but not Ukraine's fault. A little different.
Yeah, sorry, you blacked out a little bit for me there.
Okay, well, let me just repeat the headline.
NATO chief, I got it. You got it. Everybody else got it. NATO chief says Poland blast likely caused by Ukrainian missile, but not Ukraine's fault. Oh, okay. Well, the story is changing a little bit here, Gons.
Yeah, it says here, NATO said there was no indication that the missile strike that hit a Polish border village on Tuesday night was deliberate, saying that Russia was ultimately to blame as it continues to bombard Ukraine with missiles. The Military Alliance's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said the missile incident took place, quote, as Russia launched a massive wave of rocket attacks across Ukraine.
So it happened at the same time.
That's suspicious. While the investigation was ongoing into the incident, he said, quote, there was no indication that this was the result of a deliberate attack, end quote, and no indication it was a result of, quote, offensive military actions against NATO, end quote.
So interesting. They're still calling it like a Russian missile in this case. Now we're kind of leaning on, well, it could have been an accidental Russian missile.
Yeah. Preliminary analysis, as previously reported, suggests the incident was caused by a Ukrainian air defense missile fired to, quote, defend Ukrainian territory against Russian cruise missile attacks.
Oopsie daisies.
Okay, so it was Ukrainian missiles that killed a couple people from Poland, and they were trying to say it was Russian.
Oopsie daisies.
Yikes.
Right.
Yikes.
So now it's a Ukrainian missile. Which, by the way, much of their missiles have been, Russia, are left over from their Russian stockpile. So it could have been a sort of anti-missile missile that, whoopsies, launched by a Ukrainian in the direction of Poland. Totally not a purposeful provocation. We are so dearly praying that is the case. And it goes on, quote, let me be clear. This is like Biden or Obama. Let me be clear. This is not Ukraine's fault. Russia bears ultimate responsibility as it continues its illegal war against Ukraine. So even if it was Ukraine that fired the missile that blew up in Poland, we can still blame it on Russia.
Yeah, there's a couple points I was going to make, but it fell out of the brain there. I don't know what I was going to say. It's pretty fun. Yeah, I know. I forget what it was. It's okay. I guess it wasn't terribly important.
Well, it'll come back to you because Reuters here has a headline that says, Biden said Ukraine air defense missile responsible for Poland blast, says a NATO source. So Biden himself is saying that it was a Ukrainian missile that blew up on NATO territory.
I remember now. Sorry.
Okay, what is it?
Basically, this could be some kind of internal Ukrainian plot to ask the United States for a more robust laser defense system, because China just came out with their laser military, their Iron Beam thing, right? And maybe Ukraine, Zelensky's looking at that going, hey, man, why don't we have an Iron Beam laser thing? Why do we got all these missiles?
Sure.
Well, maybe we can
that's a little bit more specific. Yeah, that's interesting. I was, of course, we would never suggest.
No, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just
have a purposeful false flag to get more support from NATO countries and get the world into World War III. That would just be unpatriotic for us to say. But an accidental Ukrainian missile landing in NATO territory, launched in the opposite direction of where it should have been launched,
or something,
is a good case for getting some more high-end
lasers.
Yeah,
no collateral damage with lasers, unless whatever you're burning in the sky falls in civilian territory.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just stepping back and looking at the bigger picture here, and because look, the United States is the military dealer. So if you show them what you need, they can maybe help you. Is all I'm saying.
It is. And it says right here in the Reuters article, Ukraine blamed Russia. Russia denied its missiles. And that's the part why you need to read 3 different sources, 3 different outlets, 3 different reporters, 3 sets of information, and see how they're being
and very different.
Because Reuters, right there in the 3rd stanza, says Ukraine blamed Russia. Well, if it was a Ukrainian missile that landed in Poland and Ukraine is blaming it on Russia, we do need to be somebody. I'm not even saying it's me. I'm not saying it's us, but somebody needs to be asking Ukraine why that happened. And then why did they immediately turn around and blame Russia if they knew? Maybe they didn't know. Who knows? Maybe they didn't know that it was their own. Maybe they really thought it was Russia. Who knows? But just another list of this very strange series of events, strange communication from Ukraine. And it ends, NATO ambassadors were scheduled to hold emergency meeting at 1000 CET. How do you say that? This is military time. 1000? I don't know.
1000, yeah.
0900 GMT.
There you go.
To respond to the explosion at a grain dryer near the Ukrainian border. And this is the weird one. This is the first time anybody is reporting that the explosion was at a grain dryer near the Ukrainian border, which occurred while Russia was firing scores of missiles at cities across Ukraine. And it's just a weird little detail because of the grain drama.
Yeah, the food shortage thing.
Yeah, kind of been keeping up with the grain drama, but not really. It's kind of been a weird B plot for the past couple of weeks. But the fact that it is a grain dryer is just a weird aspect to it. So